Yeah, I think we can then start. So welcome to today's working group meeting. Let's have a quick look at last time or the action items from the last meeting. So the validate search job was constantly read in the CF deployment pipeline. And yeah, I simply fixed it by allowing to ignore some paths which are not relevant, and to answer Carson's question, as proposed by Carson, it now also checks the load balancer certificates for expiration, at least the ones which are stored in the Reliant Envs project, which is the majority. There's only one or two in GitHub, and those are not checked. But that should be now good enough. The greengrass environment is migrated, and it also had a pipeline for setting it up. It was just a little bit hidden here at the very last tab. This is for setting up the infrastructure bubble environment. Yeah, so this is also done. Yeah, so for today, I don't have too many topics because before we come to Benjamin's bigger topic. So we had the beginning of the week a problem with the private Docker registry account. So there are two Cloud Foundry acceptance tests which check that you can download images with credentials from a private Docker repository. And Dave mentioned something that you mentioned, that you rotated credentials because of some reason.
Yeah, those credentials had actually been rotated by someone else as part of the, greater LastPass rotations. And I just had to go and take the new credentials and put them into all of the integration configs of Reliant Envs.
Okay. Should we transfer this account to the working group, or?
This account is just a throwaway account to be able to have private Docker registry credentials to use in CATs. So we can absolutely create our own account and put it in there. I don't think it needs any special permissions. It's just required for we just need some sort of private Docker hub for those CATs tests if we want to be running them in our pipeline.
Okay. So it might make sense to create our own account. Good. Not sure what is needed for that. I mean, we have enough Gmail mail addresses created by Chris. Yeah, so I will check what we need and try to create an own account.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Second topic is migration of not this one, of our concourse. So it's still based on the Bosch CI stem cell infra project, and that one is pretty outdated, and we will follow the approach from the app runtime interfaces working group. They have set up their own concourse, which means we may have to temporarily change the domain. This is a little bit of a bigger story, but we will start soon because we use deprecated GKE features. So expect a little bit of turbulence, but we will work on this story here with our SAP colleagues. Okay, good. That's everything from my side, I think.
If you don't mind me asking, GKE features for Concourse?
I think we have an
no.
outdated version of Kubernetes 1.21, and that one was deprecated. And it looks like this old Concourse installation uses some beta APIs or whatever. And they notified us that this will cease to
getting
work end of
notifications
February.
that we use outdated Kubernetes API versions. Yeah, but there are also other reasons to migrate to the newer Concourse setup. Good. Release of CF deployment is out. There was nothing special. Okay, so I think that's everything from my side. Then handing over to you, Benjamin. You wanted to propose a bigger change.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure entirely what we want to do with this, but I just wanted to mention that we've had a feature that allows people to egress metrics about the VMs that are running on their system. This has been used to be Bosch System Metrics Forwarder, and now is System Metrics Agent. I don't think either of them have ever been mainlined into CF deployment, and I just wanted to bring it up and be like, is this something we might want to consider mainlining into CF deployment?
So for our understanding, I mean, Bosch already emits a lot of metrics like system CPU. I've seen that the metrics agent provides a few more metrics like network utilization. But if you deploy Cloud Foundry with Bosch, you should have all the basic metrics already.
You can collect all of those metrics, but it doesn't, I wouldn't say it emits those metrics by default. So the goal would be as if you had a CF nozzle or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if you're using Logcache, you should be able to collect it in using that method. So this would be people who have CF admins who have CF credentials, but don't have Bosch, necessarily have Bosch credentials, or people who want to use their dashboarding software to draw pretty graphs using it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can't really tell who makes use of that setup. I mean, can you maybe show the ops files we are talking about? I'm not sure if this is clear for everyone.
Looking for it real quick. I believe this is an example.
Yes.
Or this is one of the PRs. There's two of them, actually. The other one is the same thing, but if you're using Windows. I believe at the very least, it might be interesting to move them from experimental to a regular ops file.
Yeah, okay. I mean, moving from experimental to promoted is certainly okay if this has been in use for quite some time now. Defaulting into CF deployment, I can't tell how many people would we want to use this by default. I mean, we would need to remove it again. because we collect our metrics other ways. So I can't really tell if it would make sense. I mean, we would also have a few new credentials by default, right? Yeah. So should we make it a promoted ops file and leave it like that? Would be, I
we
guess,
open an issue and let's say request feedback on and list out the let's say pros and cons for both approaches. If we default it, maybe then we would need at least an ops file to switch it off easily.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I think we need to ask.
Yeah.
We should also ask then, let's say Stefan Ley or Jovan from the Logregator team on our side. What does it mean on additional load, etc. in big landscapes? That's usually the first question that comes to our minds.
Yeah, I mean, there would be a lot to consider if we start adding new components on each of our VMs. It could have huge impact for us on system load and whatever. So okay, good. But so then I would open an issue and describe what this is about. I do not have all the technical details, so I would then ask you, Benjamin, to fill in the gaps. And then we send this around and ask for feedback and then decide how to proceed.
Okay, makes sense.
Good. Okay, just take some notes. Okay, any other business from your side?
I ask my typical recurring question. Does anybody heard some rumors about the remaining 4 build packs for Sea of Linux FS4?
Yes. Yeah, but it's only GitHub issue updates, so don't be too excited. Let me share again. So the experimental FS4 job is still red with exactly the same result. So these 4 are missing. But nevertheless, each one of those updated their GitHub issues. So here is the parent issue. And it's all the same, I think. And here, for example, 2 days ago, someone created a task. Build dependency.
Okay, it looks like
integrate,
start. That's great.
Release. Yeah. So I think only, let me check the R build pack. Also, yeah. Oh, one is checked already. Yeah. Okay. So
sounds good.
In progress. It's in progress. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like good news. Good. Anything else?
I think I had something, but I can't remember what it is anymore. I'm going hunting right now. Let's see. No, all right, I can't find it. It's probably fine. Oh, there was a request from Jovan and some other SAP folks because about to
the Logregator
do something. Yeah, exactly. We should maybe have a chat about that real quick. They I think Stefan Ley called out that the removal of the traffic controller broke a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So there was a suggestion that Logregator could be pinned back to 106.7.5 for the time being to get around this issue for some period of time until it's resolved. I guess the only alternative I can think of, or only alternatives I can think of, is to move forward and just try and fix it fast. I don't know, it sounds like Stefan would prefer not that. Reverting the change in LogRater itself for some period of time.
Yeah.
I guess it seems to me not hard or that bad to just pin to LogRater, and the weird part would be cutting a release of CFD and saying we're going back to this old way. I don't think we would lose any features, but it would be like a downgrade in CF deployment. Not on a component that maintains a database, so potentially not a failure mode, but probably worth testing out. If that upgrade isn't a problem, what do y'all think about pinning versus other options?
Yeah, pinning for how long? I mean, so for context, one of the last CF deployment releases contained an update to LogRater agent 7 something, and this removed the recent logs endpoint. And it turned out that many components here at SAP still make use of this endpoint, although it has been deprecated, I don't know, quite some time ago. So fixing this on our side for all components is likely to take months at least, and I don't know if anyone has made efforts to assemble a timeline for all the components. So this could take long. Yeah, and so we would have to pin to a lower version for quite some time, and that means no updates anymore for LogRater agent or LogRater release, one of those two. I guess the best way for us would be 7 something introduces recent logs again, and we continue with that for a while. But anyway, it's not for us. This is nothing we can decide in our working group. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
We are just integrating whatever comes as LogRater Bosch release and validating it with cats. There was no recent logs test in cats. It must have been removed also some time ago, so that's why everything passed.
Yeah, the cats was changed long ago to use log cache instead of the recent logs endpoint. Okay, so
I believe there's cats tests that directly test the streaming endpoints for V1 and V2. I think recent is only a thing that exists on traffic controller. But the only way that recent was being tested was through the CLI, and the CLI switched specifically. Does that sound right, Carson?
Yep.
So I guess from CF deployment point of view, leaving SAP out at the moment, I think the best approach would be that we, let's say, re-enable this endpoint on a recent version 7, and so that the normal fixed flow, etc., continues. And because if we would pin in CF deployment, this is a shitty situation, right?
Yeah.
We would soon in 2 or 4 weeks sit here and talk about the bugs that cannot be fixed, and this is not nice. And then maybe we could let's say in the release notes of CF deployment explicitly say that this removal of this endpoint, if that's technically possible, I would assume that now, that we say it has been re-established, but it is definitely deprecated, and we will remove it in, and then maybe talk first with Stefan Lai about it, and then say a deadline in, I don't know what is realistic. I can't say it because I'm not involved in this discussion about the other components, but something about 3 months or 6 months, so not too far in the future. I mean, the traffic controller is deprecated since a long time ago, and at the end of the day, sometimes you have to kick people in. You know.
Yeah, I think there was definitely, Jovan wrote a good thread saying like, hey, there should have been an announcement of this, you know. It's like good progress is moving forward. Also,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
clarity is
Yeah.
clarity is also good, and
Yeah.
and announcing things. And I think the fall of, personally, I think this fall of like the CF Dev mailing list has meant that there's less communication about breaking changes like this. So it's a good call out from everyone involved. Sounds like the CFD, our working group opinion, which maybe we should throw into a thread, is, hey, we don't want a pin. That's gross.
Yeah. That's
okay.
Better go forward. Yeah. And I did notice this breaking change. It was clearly announced as breaking change in Logaggregator agent. It was a bit brief, telling you need the latest cloud controller version for this to work, which we had. All our tests passed. So,
yeah.
well, okay.
We did our homework, but not everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
and that may happen, of course, with other consumers as well. Yeah, it's not just.
And I mean, I really don't understand why we did not have one single test on our side to check if this recent logs is still working or not. So, okay, yeah. Okay, good. So we should try to integrate the missing endpoint again. And but yeah, well, okay, we can't decide this here in this working group, right?
Maybe what we from time to time do in let's say cloud controller, for instance, is that then somehow in the Logaggregator release we could add a feature flag to enable or disable this endpoint, so that we give some tools into the hands of consumers to control the usage. So we do a similar thing currently with a CF API v2. I mean, not switching it off. This feature flag exists, but that's unrealistic. So we do it with rate limits, and that's also a long and hard fight.
Cool. Yeah, I dropped the thread where it seems like the major discussion is going down. So I can plan to drop our opinion, as it were. But
Yeah.
otherwise, you know, feel free to chime in or follow along as well.
Good. Any other topics? If not, Stefan, anything we forgot?
I don't think so. No, the biggest thing is this Concourse
update
thingy that we need to run. And yeah, I think our first step is to set up the new thing, and before we start with migrating some pipelines, etc., then we of course reach out again, and so that everybody knows what is going on, because we don't want to lose the ability to cut releases, of course.
That we don't want to lose. Not it really works so nice at the moment. It took 10 minutes this morning with Johannes to create a new release, and yeah, this is how it should be. Okay, good. Then thanks everyone for attending, and see you again soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.